everyone, and welcome to this webinar. I am Belinda, and this webinar is on fueling for success, how nutrition can impact your career. A little bit about the workshop that I'm going to conduct. It is on the 26th of May, Friday, 9 to 1 p.m. at Holiday Inn, Orchard City Centre. And this webinar is pretty shortened than what you would be having for this workshop. So please do register. So a little bit about me. I am Belinda Liao. I am an accredited nutritionist of Singapore. So this accreditation is from Singapore Nutrition and Dietetic Association, where I am one of the committee members. And I'm a sports nutritionist as well, having 9 years of experience in this field and have been working in the public and now private sector. So as you know, when we are working and we are busy, it's a very, very big challenge in balancing our work demands and our personal goals and wellness as well. So as a busy professional, we would usually know when our busy periods are and stressful periods are. Sometimes we are thrown into the deep end suddenly, and we have to actually be ready and be productive when we are thrown into the deep end. And we need to be productive and ready to get to the next level of our career. And we might actually experience kind of situations where we actually want to be productive, but there are situations where it's out of our control. Okay. And one of them would be, of course, easily falling sick. So now that we are open to travelers, we have more COVID cases on the rise now. So that's one way of reason of falling sick. Sometimes it's the flu season as well. But we can actually decrease the duration of our sickness or symptoms by actually eating well. I'll explain a bit later on. And another situation where we feel that it will affect our productivity, it would be feeling tired even though we have just woken up. I don't know whether you guys have actually tried to wake up in the morning and you still feel really, really, very tired. It's as if you didn't even sleep at all. Sometimes this is due to, for example, deficiencies in nutrients, or you didn't really eat enough previously in the previous day. So depending on the situation and what you choose, you might get all these situations. Another situation where will affect our productivity would be brain fog. So for example, what am I supposed to say? Or it could be, what am I supposed to do? Or it can be, why did I actually do that? So these are some things that might happen during our busy and stressful periods of working, and we can't really say that we can is out of control because we actually can do something about it. So this brain fog can be due to, for example, not having enough carbohydrates or fuel for the brain, or you could be that you took the wrong type of carbohydrates. For example, having high sugar drink. After a while, your concentration and your productivity would slip and your brain is not able to get enough of that energy. So have you actually felt that you felt this way before? So all of these situations call for proper nutrition because it's crucial and important for peak performance, for immunity, for clarity, and of course, our health as well. There are different other areas that supports our goal of being productive. Apart from eating well, it's also sleep and time off and exercise as well. And did you know that if you're eating well, you could also affect and good sleep quality? So having good sleep quality would also help you with productivity. So choosing the right foods is important here as well. So what does eating well mean? So I've talked to quite a number of people, and some of them might tell me, oh, it's about what you eat. And others might say, oh, it's how much or portion sizes we have. But how about another one, which is when to eat? So when to eat is also equally important. So for example, for the feeling tired after waking up, it might be due to not being able to eat anything at night, for example. That's why you're tired. Or it could be even though you ate some, let's say, iron-rich foods, for example, and that day would be a day where you exercise, for example, the iron absorption might not be there because you exercise for quite a while or it's in a high intensity mode. So when to eat, how much to eat, and what to eat is equally important. So for this webinar, I will be talking a bit more about what food to eat and what food choices that is important. So I want you to imagine that you're in a busy period of time where you need to be focused and be productive. So I want you to think about that and what kind of foods do you think you would reach out for? So there are other food items that people would usually reach out for. And these are some of the common ones that I figured out. Instant noodles, buns, biscuits, candy, and bubble tea. Actually, why do we actually reach out to them? Most probably it will be comfort food, or it's the food that is available in the pantry. So my question to you is, what is the commonality of all of these? Okay, so I have a little quiz for you. Can you identify the nutrients that they are rich in? Is it complex carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates, protein, or iron? You can put your answers in the chat box and we can see what is your answer. Oops. I do invite you to, okay, comment is complex carbs. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Quite a number of you say yes. Complex carbs. Any others? We'll probably give about a few more seconds. So Crystal is 3. Okay. Darren is 4, which is iron. Okay, so none of you says it's 2. Okay, the answer is, drum roll, would be simple carbohydrates. So what's the difference between complex and simple? So complex carbohydrates have more nutrients and fiber, and the carbohydrates are less able to be absorbed. Not to say less available to be, but complex carbs is less rapidly absorbed compared to simple carbohydrates. So simple carbohydrates are more fast in digestion and absorption as well. And I think most of you might be asking this question. It is, why do we actually go for these simple carbs? Most likely is that the body is trying to tell us it's lacking of energy. So for example, when we're working at night and we're very tired, our body would tell us that, oh, I'm hungry. And you would try to reach out for food. And it's because that it is past your bedtime that the body is like, okay, you're trying to be productive, but I am very tired. So why not give you some simple carbs? So simple carbs are quite easily digested, easily absorbed, and it will give you a spurt of energy. So even like putting something sweet in your mouth, right? The brain would actually be very excited because there's energy. But there are certain consequences if you actually replace our main meals for them. And if it's for a long while or long period of time, it is quite detrimental to our health. So the first consequence would be that the body is not able to use the energy that efficiently. Okay, so I'll give you a simple analogy. Okay, the simplest I can think of, because I'm not going to bore you with all of these processes. But let's think about it as like a conversion of currency. So let's say in Singapore, we use Singapore dollars. Okay, and you have foreign currencies like let's say the pound or US dollar. Of course, you need to convert it back to Sing dollar. So in our sense in the body, nutrients from food, which is protein, carbohydrates, and fats, would be that foreign currency. And the exchange rate, if you can see here, is for protein is 4 kilocalories per gram, carbs 4 kilocalories per gram, and fats is 9 kilocalories per gram. So it's a different exchange rate for certain nutrients. So to actually exchange it for Sing dollar, of course, we would have to have your money changer. Okay, so vitamins and minerals are more like a money changer where it converts your protein, fats, and carbs into something that the body can use. And the energy that the body can use is called ATP. So this process of converting carbohydrates, proteins, and fats into something that the body can use occurs at that point, at that organ, for example, in our brain, right? We need, usually the fuel is carbohydrates. So the carbohydrates will be converted into ATP, or the energy that the body can use at the brain, for example. So these are some of the vitamins and minerals that would help with the conversion. It can be vitamin B's, biotin, folic acid or folate, magnesium and manganese. So nicotinamide, oxygen, and pantotheniamide is not vitamins and minerals. It's just in this list of what is needed for the conversion of energy, which, yeah, we will get ATP, which is the energy that we need for the body. Another consequence is iron deficiency. So what is that? It's a lack of iron or low amounts of iron in our body, and it will create a lack of red blood cells. And these red blood cells are very, very important because it can also carry oxygen into the blood, to organs, to our brain as well. And interestingly, brain needs oxygen to function. So try to get enough iron, enough foods as well. And also to increase our oxygen level, you also have to exercise as well. So having some, maybe increasing your step count would also help with your oxygen level as well. And if you have been focusing on this, oxygen is also needed for the conversion of ATP as well. So iron is indirectly helping with the conversion of your energy. So what should we actually do to make sure that we are not tired during our productivity day, and your immune system will be up and running? There are a few things that you need to do. Okay, one, to choose ready to eat foods that are healthy. Stock up on some healthy snacks at home and at office. Always have a bottle of water on your desk. That I will talk about it in a while. And of course, if you have the time and you want to also have a sustainable diet, you can also think of doing meal prep for the week. So let's look at healthy, ready-to-eat foods. It doesn't need to be that expensive. Okay, you can also have foods like in the hawker center, where it's like the Cai Fan or the Nasi Padang stall. You can actually choose the foods that you can eat. Of course, choose wisely. Or you can have like a wrap or a sandwich or salads, pasta salad, for example. And what does it mean for us to have healthy foods? And what does it all mean as well? If you think about just now what we were talking about for this, for the list of vitamins and minerals here, you might be thinking, what kind of foods can we eat in order to get all these essential vitamins and minerals? And these are the food sources that contain almost all of these nutrients. It can be from egg, milk, your nuts and seeds, your milk, your chicken, your fish, seafood, beans, and also vegetables, leafy vegetables, green leafy ones, and fruits like banana has magnesium. Potatoes and whole grain cereals, and your brown rice or your red rice. All of them have all these nutrients. But if you want to group them into 3 food groups, you can actually see that it's meat and others, vegetables and fruits, and of course your bread and rice. So is it very familiar? Because when you think about it, it becomes my healthy plate, which is all of these 3 food groups. So try to make sure that you have all these 3 food groups in your meals at all times. The next one is healthy snacks. There are quite a number of snacks that you are able to choose from, other than the ones that we just mentioned previously. These are some healthy ones. It can be popcorn. It can be your sandwiches that you can get from your convenience stores. Or if you are craving for something that's crunchy, you can get all your nuts and seeds. So how much do you actually need for nuts and seeds? Well, you can have a handful of it. So how much is a handful? It's when you cup your palm, much. Okay, my palm is quite small, okay? But maybe your palm is bigger than mine, so you'll have more nuts that you can eat compared to mine. Lucky you. And if maybe you want to have something cold, you can also have yogurt as a healthy snack as well. There are other snacks available. You can have your fruits, your vegetables, and even you can do overnight oats as well for snacks as well. You can also use that eat that for breakfast as well. It's quite easy. You just need yogurt, your oats, and your fruits. And sometimes you can put a bit more milk if you want it to be more moist. You can just chuck it into the fridge, and then hours later, you can just eat it. A lot of you might be thinking, okay, how about packaged ones that you can buy in supermarket? There are quite a number of snacks available, and you have to be very, very careful because some of them are quite high in sugar. Some of them are high in protein. Some of them might be quite high in fats as well. So you need to be very careful. And how do you actually figure out whether they are high or not? Of course, is to look into the labels. So because Singapore is looking into our food security, we would import quite a number of food items that is not similar to does not have the packaging, the nutrition information panel that is similar to what is usually on our own food item packaging. So for example, if you can see in this slide, you can see that there are 3 types of nutrition information panels. The one on your left is the one that you usually would see. It is the European Union's labeling. In the middle and on your right is actually the US and Canadian one. So in the middle one, it is an old label that most of us would likely see in the supermarket, and they just converted it to a new one, which includes the packaging, the amount of nutrients for that packaging. So for example, if I want to can't see this. If I want to eat one packet of potato chips, then I will actually know how much do I actually eat in terms of nutrients in just one packet. That's the thing about US and Canadian labels. And if you can see, you can compare the two. It's kind of uncomparable because one is per 100 grams and per serving, per 100 grams, and the other one is per serving. And even if we compare the per serving, the amount of the serving size is quite different. So what should you be doing? For our workshop, we will be discussing and learning how to compare the two different labels. Okay, if you want to know about the EU, the ones on your left, you have to actually look at the per 100 grams for like. So for example, for this one, maybe let's say it's a big bean can. So you have to actually look at per 100 grams column to compare whether it is a higher amount of protein compared to, let's say, another can of baked beans. For the US ones, you have to look at the per daily value. Okay. If it's higher than 50, it is quite high. It's considered quite high in the daily value. Okay. Another thing you need to know is you always have to have a bottle of water on your desk. Firstly, it also helps with the digestion and absorption of our food. Secondly, is that interestingly, our body can be confused with thirst and hunger. So even though your brain will tell you that it is hungry, it might not, it might be thirsty. So try to actually drink some water before you eat something, just in case that our body is really confused. And having a bottle on a desk is very, very important because sometimes we miss out the fact that we are thirsty, and it is also detrimental to our brain as well because our brain also needs fluids as well. The next one is meal prep. So meal preparation is very important, as in that you don't really need to think about food choices throughout the week. It's already prepared for you. You have to also think about, let's say, food wastage, doing our part to save our climate, save our world. Because food wastage would also mean that our carbon footprint might be a bit higher. Okay. And food preparation is also good in a way that you know what you're putting in, and you use better and higher quality nutrients and ingredients to nourish your body. And the next thing is about meal planning. In our workshop in May, we would be also dealing with meal planning. So there will be healthy recipes. You'll have to have healthy recipes, and you have to have your ready-to-eat foods as well, depending on the situation where you need to, let's say, for example, during our busy periods, we might not have time to actually cook anything. So we have to rely on F&Bs to help us have our healthy meals, for example. But you need to know that not every food F&B would have healthy food. So it is good to have a list of food choices that you can choose from and plan ahead, because that way you don't need to decide a lot of things in a day. One last thing to decide on. Okay. Okay, and I need you to understand also that the secret to high performance in productivity is actually to choose well, choose the right food, choose the right amount, and choose and at the right time as well. So what does the right time mean? So for example, for meal times, first meal should be the 1 hour after you wake up. That's the time where you have to eat your first meal of the day. Okay. Subsequently, you have to count how many hours between our meals that we need to have that meal. So for example, the rule of thumb would be 3 to 4 hours between, let's say, breakfast and lunch. That's the timing where the next meal should be. Okay. Another reason for having that amount of time in between the meals is because our body goes through a breakdown and a building up of our muscle proteins. So if we prolong our timing and not eat anything until, let's say, 6 hours later, lo and behold, our muscles will be broken down and our metabolism rate, of course, will go down as well. And if you're thinking that, oh, then probably I should eat more protein, for example, in our dinner time compared to my breakfast time, since I didn't eat my lunch. It doesn't make sense, and the body doesn't compensate for that. So the best thing is to have a well-distributed meal timings in order to make sure that your intakes will be right for that particular time. So if you're doing some exercises, let's say in the afternoon, you also need to make sure that your carbs, your proteins is enough to actually repair and to replenish all the things that you have used up. So the right time is very, very important. For the right amount or the portion sizes, it depends on the individual. I know that when you look at the internet, you would see that, oh, there's free meal plans for me, and it's like maybe 1,000 plus calories. Well, my question is that enough for you? So you need to ask that question as well. Because sometimes when we take lesser than what we need, you also feel very, very tired. Okay, so make sure that first, choose the right food, the right amount of food as well as meal times as well. Thank you for listening in. We would be closing this webinar now. So thank you so much for listening, and please do come and join us for our webinar, for our workshop. Sorry.